Hey everybody, Scott Stevens here. I hope you enjoyed another perspective. Just concluded a few moments ago where we're talking about the difference between principles and policies. We have principles in life that we live by, we're guided by, we're raised by them, and usually, not always, but usually, principles. And then we get into politics and we end up talking about policies. And it's just kind of an interesting discussion about with what is happening with COVID, with climate change, with the admitted great global reset that is on the horizon. We are kind of aware of the policies that are coming out from the UN with this particular program. They've been in the public domain for 3 decades now, every bit of 3 decades. And even telegraphed and signaled a little bit ahead of time of that with the Georgia Guidestones. So I'm kind of curious to see how this will roll out. There's some rather alarming comments from some folks, and then there's others like, hey, it's not going to be any big deal. We'll see. All right, let's do some weather. That being not my first love, but it's up there. It's certainly in the top 3. And as I get older and older, other things I tend to like even more. So we have been talking about Eta, however you'd like to pronounce it, that tropical storm / hurricane that was a Cat 5 as it hit Nicaragua last week. It kind of came ashore. Good evening, Robin. And then backed back out, crossed Cuba Friday night, Saturday, just grazed South Florida. And that's what we're looking at right here is as it went across Key Largo, I believe. This is in particular is Wellington, Florida, being slammed by heavy rain and strong winds. And what else could Eta bring? I always called it Eta. And then we even had a model, the ETA. In meteorology, it was the ETA model, an estimated time of arrival. But nevertheless, Eta, because it is a Greek letter. So that's what's happened over the weekend. So South Florida just kind of got grazed by it. It was an event. It wasn't terribly bad, but nevertheless, anytime you have a landfalling tropical storm / hurricane, even at Cat 1, it's a big deal. All right, big snow in Big Bear Lake. For reference, this is all the way in Southern California. Multiple inches of snow have fallen, and there's more to come tonight. That was today's Monday. That was Saturday night. So we're grateful to get that snow down there with all of the fires and all of the drought and a meager summer monsoon. It's just as well that we get some good, gentle snows and rehydrate because those soils have been so dry, and when you they get hit with hundreds of degrees, if not low 1,000-degree temperatures. Those soils end up hydrophobic. And if it were to just rain, some might soak in. If it rains too much, it kind of runs off. So the snow is just a great way to introduce high humidity and ultimately rehydrate those soils gently. Another record high for Chicago today with a temperature of 76. This makes it the 6th consecutive day in a row above 70-degree temperatures, which breaks the record for November. So all the way back to 4 November, where it was 74 degrees, 71 on the 5th, and then 76, 72, 76, 76. So Indian summer-like weather being enjoyed for those in Chicagoland. Video from a few minutes ago in Key Largo, this 23 hours ago, as Eta was still making landfall over the lower Keys, and it's slowly being pulled out. We'll look at it on satellite in a moment. And shovels in Montana. Another event we talked about every single day last week because it was going to be that big of an event. Did not get, honestly, a lot of video out of Montana to illustrate this for you, but we got some easily foot when you drive that with 20, 25 mile an hour winds. We ended up with some drifting, but temperatures haven't recovered yet, and they may not for a little while. But as we get to Thursday, Friday, Saturday towards this weekend, there'll be some recovery, but there'll be places in the shade where it's snow on the ground till April, maybe even May. All right, National Hurricane Center monitoring 2 areas for tropical and or subtropical in the North Atlantic system. Cyclone formation the next 5 days, 70% and a 50% chance of formation respectively. Right now, currently, 2020 is tied with 2005 for the most Atlantic named storms. And in 05, we were talking about named storms in January. And where are we? Just barely into the second week of November. So I have this feeling we're going to go a little bit farther. Parts of I-70 Colorado have closed because of the crash stemming from snow-covered roads. The Eisenhower Tunnel area right around I-70 is presently shut down. This was 4 hours ago. And then Libya. We don't see often news out of Libya dealing with the flash floods as they were dealing with destructive floods in the industrial city on 7 November. This is Libya's fourth largest city. So, and then we're still looking at dry air pouring into Etah. We'll see how that happens. And this kind of the big thing, Arctic air headed southbound. The other part is just how deep that Arctic air. There's one other graphic here. The aurora still, they're dealing with clouds over there, so they'd like to see it. But here's how sharp a contrast temperatures were today. 70s all the way through, say, Hays, Kansas. You get on the other side of it in Goodland, which isn't plotted here, but Burlington, Colorado, but you get into Goodland, it was probably 35, 36 degrees. So fat 40 degrees as you cross this boundary. I mean, immediately right across the boundary, and it is going to be a very, very slow moving front as the jet stream is in one of its longitudinal patterns, so a large meridional flow, which means that the progression of storms from west to east is slowed. It's slowed way down. All right, fire center, still standing at a level 2. We have 34 large fires that have burned 2.8 million acres in 11 states. Fire activity continues in the eastern half of the country, where Kentucky, Minnesota, and Wisconsin each have a large fire. So I went looking to see just how large those fires were. Compared to the west, they're just a pinprick. The one in Wisconsin is a fat 250 acres compared to 25,000 acres or larger out west. All right, water vapor imagery in the Pacific. Here's the West Coast. The satellite, every day at about the same time, we're seeing this interference. So they're just kind of reorienting. But out of the far western end of the Aleutians, we've got a nice storm. And this is where we're going to be looking for activity because it's got an arc up and over the ridge that remains persistent to the west. And then it begins to dive down into the western states. And that is what is largely responsible for the very, very chilly air in place. And I wanted to show the coverage of the snow. Here's the snow through the Sierras all the way to the southern Sierra. The snow level's not terribly low, but it's a beginning. It's truly a beginning. And then Montana, right through here, all of that snow back into the mountains, into the mountain valleys of Idaho as well. A lot of this is low clouds in Idaho, right in through here through the Snake River Plain. Into Colorado, the center of the low is still right in through here. So that'll pass overhead tonight. Skies largely will clear out over the valleys. The mountains may hang on to some clouds a little bit longer. Here at the house, I'm down to 25 degrees in the San Luis Valley. So frost is on the way. Drought remains in place, although we have seen some improvement in central Idaho and in the Flathead Valley in western Montana. The Cascades in Oregon, Washington, pretty much just north of Portland through Vancouver, Washington, in pretty good shape, and improvement in parts of Texas and even into New England, where we're looking at precip out the next 16 days. This is the QPF quantitative precip forecast, and I'm looking at the anomaly. It's a map comparison to what should fall to compare to what the map or the computer models, the GFS in this particular instance, forecast will fall. If we're in green and blues, we're above normal. If we're in browns and reds, we're below normal. So we can see a stripe of good precip or snow, and this is probably associated with the front that's in place right now. And then the only other area that's substantially above normal happens to be through the Pac Northwest, and let's let them have it. They're definitely cooler than normal. As we go into the east today or Tuesday, tomorrow, 69 anticipated near breaking records, 22 on Wednesday, and then it kind of drops off. But still, come tomorrow morning, it looks like about 103 locations at or above normal temperature-wise for those morning lows. So a lot of folks in the east really enjoying a very, very balmy beginning to this second 10 days of November. But the extremes today across the nation. Rio Grande Village, Texas at 96 degrees. All year long it's warm down there. 8 below, 9 miles west of Anaconda. Of MT would be Montana. There's Etah. Look at that beast. You just go away already. Just be done. Be done. So if Etah's not enough, now we have Theta. And it just got named. So that happened within the last few minutes. Maximum sustained winds at 50 miles per hour. Lowest central pressure right now at 1,000 millibars. What is Etah's? 995. So it'll come down a little bit. Movement towards the east at 15 miles an hour. So if we continue on an easterly trajectory, we probably will not be talking about it for too long. There's Etah right now. Remember, last what was it? Thursday previous week, right in through here, came ashore, and then backed out, backed away, come across Cuba, grazed through the Keys, and now we're transiting back down towards the Yucatan, where it'll probably do a third, fourth landfall. So Nicaragua, then off to Cuba, then to Florida, back to the Yucatan and Mexico. We'll see what happens after that. All right, temperatures on the hour. Ooh, cold. Miles City, 7 degrees. There's the freezing temperatures all the way into northern New Mexico. Grand Canyon, plus 7 degrees. And they're, I guess they're mountain time. So at 9 o'clock mountain time, 7 degrees. Let's refresh this and see if I've got the previous hours. 5 degrees. There we go. Let's update that baby. So a couple of cold places with single digits showing up, and still through Kansas, there is that sharp contrast in temperatures. And there it is, from 63 at Wichita to 41 on the north side with north winds. We get into light snow as we cross into Great Bend and into southern Nebraska, some light snow with north winds. So it's going to be a cold night in those locations. And of course, you would expect along that boundary where the battle between the warm and humid air exists and the cold air undercutting and lifting that warm air, that's where we're going to get the precip. So we're beginning to see a rain in Omaha turning to snow. You don't have to get too far west of the city. Not quite to Lincoln, but as we get west of that, it definitely turns into a mixed precip, and then west of Grand Island, it's just going to be straight up frozen precip. The ground is still warm for now, so driving's okay until you get out to Grand Island, and then certainly into Scotts Bluff. But once you get to Scotts Bluff, you're already near the very, very back end of this baby. So here's what the trough looks like right now. There's the deep baggy thing. There's Etta down here. Here's this ridge and the nice, warm southerly flow, bringing, just those beautiful conditions from northern Mexico across out the Lone Star State all the way into southern Canada, where a way above normal temperatures exist. So as we pop this, let's look at that first low. It just kind of gets lifted out. It has to move because this next one is rolling in right on its heels. It has to move. This next one tries to dig, but you see, it's not the big old thing that drops way back into the southwest in the lower Colorado River Valley. It just doesn't get that far south. This one glances off to the east, and then what we do is we open up the Pacific, kind of a flat flow. This should bring a lot of moisture to Oregon, to Washington, and eventually into Northern California, but that is next Tuesday by the time Monday, Tuesday as that storm arrives. So that's kind of good. We get a rain this week, another one towards the end of this week, and then almost a series of storms. It's not an onslaught, but it's better than it's been for a while. So let's come over here, look at total snowfall as we wrap this up. Heaviest in the Cascades, as would be expected, as those snow levels 3,000 to 4,500 feet, and above that it's all white. And because they get 5, 6, 7, 800 inches in some of those taller peaks, you got to start building that snowpack. November is a perfect time to really begin to build those up. You make weather exciting. Oh, Heather, you're just too kind. I do like weather, though. I'm always a geek, and I'll probably die a geek. There's nothing wrong with that, is there? I mean, really? Because, Mom liked it. She thought it was okay. Scott, you do your weather thing. You keep yourself out of trouble. It's okay. We have other kids for being in trouble. So there's the big snows all through these Cascades. So this is good considering the number of fires, the quantity of fires that we had in southern Oregon and northern California. It's not too much. It's not too much. These streams, these reservoirs, these lakes, they're all so low they can begin to hit them and hit them and hit them, so they can begin to recharge, because it takes a while once it starts to melt to get back down through the soils and through the aquifers. All right, I believe this is going to be it. What we're looking at is the ECMWF. This is the European model, and here's today's temperature anomaly. 2 meter is what this is. So that's 6 foot off the ground. That's what we're looking at. Down at the bottom of the screen, forest purple is 44 degrees cooler than normal. The deepest red is only about 16, 17, and then we go through a whole nother scale. But and then here's your warmest and then your coldest anomalies, your coldest variance off of normal. So we can see all the way up to the southern tip of Hudson Bay, way above normal temperatures, enough to melt the snow that had fallen in the previous week or two. So that all melts, and it's good. We had some early snow, so let's get those farmers, let's get those folks some nice weather to kind of wrap things up before we get to the latter part of November where it stays cold. So I'll animate this baby, and what we'll do is be able to see this cool air spreading south, spreading east. It really never makes it into Texas, though, does it? Just really never gets there. And then we have another surge of heat. So we'll animate this once again. This gets pushed off the coast, and it just kind of holds on the Gulf Coast. This last storm just not very strong, and we have to wait for the next one that's next Wednesday. And even then, once it moves to the east, the west, after enduring a fairly cold week this week, bounces right back. 5, 10, 15, probably some 20-degree above normal readings as we move through the high plains and the lee side of the Rockies. So November is simply being November. It is a month of oscillation where we get tempted with the remnants of fall, and then teased with the promise of winter play. And that's November. You throw in some politics on that, and it's a party for everyone. All right, guys, that's it for the night. My voice is just about done, so I'll see you tomorrow, and we'll just do it all over again. And thanks, Heather, for the comments, because, I like weather too. It's just kind of fun. All right, have a great night, and sleep well. We'll catch you tomorrow. Don't take everything too seriously, at least not yet. I'll tell you when to panic. Okay? All right, keep looking up.